Hi. Today is about learning, the function of learning. So to learn new things, you will hear a lot of time the term neuroplasticity coming about, right? The capacity of the brain to create new connections, learning new skill, myelinization is there and all that stuff, right? So what you need for neuroplasticity is an arch of arousal and focus, right? You need that arch of the two to create that learning. So very interestingly, the arousal part comes in, right? And it turns out that the learning is on the sympathetic side of things, is on the excitatory side of things, right? Which you might find weird because you would think you need to be calm to learn. But actually, there's an arousal necessary. And that there's an evolutionary reason to this, is right now we are doing better when we learn complicated things in a calm environment because we need to slow down. But if you look at the creation of learning, it's actually a self-defense mechanism on the sympathetic side to learn to fight. Learning to fight requires spatial learning, where you are in space, knowing how to move your body. Requires learning tactics, right? Remember tactics. Remember what enemies look like, what their strengths and weaknesses are. So we actually see that memory, learning behavior, all that stuff is on the sympathetic side. How do we know that? Well, for example, that's the podcast that I did on the osteocalcin. If you remember, we saw that on rats that did not have mice that did not have osteocalcin, and their progenitors, the babies, were severely lacking in their capacity to learn spatially. I can never say that in English. Spatial learning, right? Not spatial learning, spatial learning. Memorization, things like that, were lacking. And the second they introduced osteocalcin into the pregnant mouse, the babies did not have those issues anymore once they turn adults. Osteocalcin being the hormone of the acute stress response. So acute stress and learning go hand in hand. That's the arousal side of the arch. So the excitatory part of the system is the part of learning. So what is interesting with that is we see that the biggest not the biggest, but the most common, most available neuroexcitatory neurotransmitter is glutamate, right? That's the accelerator, the neuroexcitatory. An inhibitor of glutamate is GABA, that is produced when glutamate is in excess. So you can see that arch, accelerator versus brake, right? That will tell you where you are into learning. You get too excited, you can't learn. So there's all that stuff. So for example, GABA is responsible for the breaks in between words so that I can create language or music. Same thing we see with HRV and the heart, by the way, interestingly speaking. The concept is always the same everywhere. So let's look at what happens when you have a problem with a ratio, glutamate to GABA. So you see very, very specific issues popping up when the glutamate is too high for the reason that you cannot produce enough GABA, usually because of a problem with the enzyme glutamic acid decarboxylase, GAD. You see a slurred speech. You see a speech that is, with not enough silences. So it's very, very fast like that actually turn up being slurred. You see problem with specific comprehension. You see there's some very, very specific physical effects that we see with the too high of a glutamate. One of them being looking at the nose all the time, like going like this and everything. So most of the time it's not looking down, it's actually looking at the nose. And we're going to see the moving like this because of the muscle contraction. So what I'm describing right now are all the symptoms of ASD, Autism Spectrum Disorder. The looking down all the time is actually toward the nose. It's the back and forth. It's a slurred speech. It's a problem with words. It's all as if not knowing comprehension of language, things like this. Those are all signs of ASD, the Autism Syndrome Disorder. So the negative symptoms of what we call autism. It's a complex issue there, so I have to stay kind of at the surface. And we know that from autistic children. We see it all the time. They have low levels of GABA. There's a problem with the folate acid and that relates to GABA again and everything. We have seen that constantly, that ASD is linked to low levels of GABA, right? That incapacity to have that transformation glutamate to GABA, and then going back to that MMR vaccine. So what you see really is that ASD results in levels of glutamate too high. All right, so let me advance that hypothesis that high levels of glutamate are necessary for learning. We see that. You cannot produce the GABA if the level of glutamate are not too high anyway, right? So learning, excitatory, high levels of lactate. So there is a function there where the highest level of learning requires the highest level of glutamate. We have seen that the higher level of glutamate, the smarter the person is. There's actually a correlation there. There is not necessarily causality, but there is correlation there. So what if we see the function of learning, right? So high level of glutamate is to increase the function of learning. Whenever that function is taken too far, we see levels of glutamate too high. Levels of glutamate too high, so GABA is low, we end up with the symptom of ASD. So what if, and that's the hypothesis I'm putting forward, autism is just the function of learning? What we think as autism is really ASD, it's the symptom disorder. So what if the symptom disorder, the ASD, is just a function of learning taken too far, to the point where the excitatory system goes so far, it starts to wreck the system itself. So that means that autism, as in ASD, would be simply the function of learning taken too far. That would explain why autistic kids can learn so well, better than anybody else, right? But when it goes a little bit too far, then you end up with ASD, which means slur speech, incapacity to speak, to the point, so speech slur to the point where they become nonverbal, incapacity to know where to put the silences, and things like this. So what if autism is a function of learning? And ASD would be that function of learning taken too far. Just like panic attacks are anxiety, which is a function, not a disease, right? But taken too far can lead to panic attacks. What if it's the same thing for autism? What if autism is just learning? That spectrum is just a grade of knowing how far you are on the learning curve. And if you go too far, then like all system, it becomes imbalanced, it starts to crash, and that's ASD. So we would have autism on one side as a function of learning. If in another podcast that I did, or maybe I did it on the online workshop, I can't remember, but I was talking about this from the imprinted brain theory, right? And I was establishing an arch where on one side we have the excitatory, specific type of excitatory toward learning, that is autism on the end, ASD at the end of the arch. But on the other side, I was putting schizoid behavior, right, which is the opposite of autistic behavior. And if you put schizoid all the way, you get schizophrenia. But what is a schizoid behavior? For example, is paranoia into action. What is paranoia? Is the bush over there is moving. And so there was an entire point that I was making that I thought was interesting, is that if you take schizoid behavior, you take it too far, you get schizophrenia. But if you don't take it too far, you have the behavior of a guardian. Someone, like, you know what they say, like, maybe I'm paranoid, but that doesn't mean they're not after me. Is it good to be paranoid? Well, if you live 10,000 years ago and there's 23 types of predator trying to eat you on a daily basis, to have a paranoia is very healthy. Whenever that bush is moving over there, you better not be too busy learning the shit you're doing. You better starting to pay attention going something is coming. So paranoia in that sense can be very healthy. So what is schizophrenia is a function of a guardian of taking too far. And ASD is a function of a wizard, a learning process taking too far. So what is, there's two archetypes there. Guardian on one side, wizard on the other. And a guardian archetype taking too far would be schizophrenia. And the wizard archetype taking too far would be ASD. So that'd be interesting. I mean, autism would just be a grade of the learning behavior. So how much of a wizard you are. Whereas schizoid, paranoia, and all that behavior would be just a guardian taken too far into a schizophrenic person, which is what explains a lot of those symptoms of schizophrenic people that are usually going to slay the dragons because George V told them to do so. If you look at schizophrenia, it's many times violent and it involves like killing the bad guys. Is it a function of guardian being too far? Is that what schizophrenia is? Just like ASD is a function of learning taken too far. I found that idea very interesting, that an arch of two archetypes of people, guardian versus wizard. It's interesting. Thank you, guys.